Are you keeping score? We are. Donald Trump and his endorsements, they work. They work. And right now, he, of course, owns the Republican Party. Everybody wants him to come back. And his seal of approval wins elections for candidates. And it looks like it's still going to win it for Dr. Oz. He's ahead. It's close. We may be in recount territory, but he's up. And of course, Donald Trump endorsed him. Donald Trump worked hard for these candidates. You saw him, we carried the rallies. Who does this, by the way? What former president of the United States puts it all on the line? You know what? Nobody. They just kind of enjoy being an ex-president, maybe an endorsement here or there, once, twice a year, every other year. They make speeches, they write books, they take it easy. Not our guy.
Kari Lake, she's going to be the next governor of Arizona. I'm thrilled to announce tonight that Senator Chuck Grassley has my complete and total endorsement. He's a great governor. He loves the state. Has my complete and total endorsement. Greg Abbott, Governor Greg Abbott. I want to pick somebody that's going to win, and this man is going to win. Come on up, JD. By the way, I endorsed another person today, Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz.
These endorsements, they're big, they're powerful, they work, and it drives the mainstream media crazy. Now, they have wanted to write this guy's political obituary since he came down the escalator 7 years ago, almost. And boy, oh boy, this time they wanted all of these things to not work out.
Another big test of the former president's power and sway inside the Republican Party.
These coming weeks are going to be the biggest test of former President Trump's hold on the Republican Party.
This will be the first big test of the night of former President Trump's endorsement power.
So he passed all of those tests, which he did not have to. He basically imposed them on himself, and he did it. So where are the high marks, huh? Where are the super grades for the president? Yeah, look at that record. No, they're not going to do that. Of course not. No.
Yesterday's GOP primaries were a mixed bag for candidates backed by you-know-who.
Not great news for Donald Trump in the North Carolina House primary,
where Trump endorsed, and I would call it a very mixed evening. So
2/3 of Republican voters did end up casting their ballots for a candidate that Trump did not endorse.
It's evident that it's not a done deal when former President Trump endorses a Republican candidate.
Yeah, right. It's always half empty when they're talking about Donald Trump. They were writing that political obituary back 7 years ago. Hey, ask Congressman Budd, who went from 4th place to being the nominee for the U.S. Senate in North Carolina. This is an outstanding record, all right? They want to deny it. It's there. It's in black and white. And you know what I love about this? It reminds me of President Nixon. And Nixon had a special appreciation of Donald Trump. He saw his political genius and ability all the way back in the 1980s. There they are. I think that's 1989 at a banquet in Texas. Nixon was all about using popularity to achieve something. And a lot of politicians, all they wanted to achieve was re-election for themselves, to get something done with your popularity. And that is what Donald Trump has done, going out there, putting his reputation on the line. You know, the fake news wants to write him off, and they're watching his every move. They would have loved for this to come crashing down on him, but he cares about the country. He cares about these candidates, and he wants to make America great again. Now, of course, this breaks the mold of what ex-presidents are supposed to do. They're supposed to be weak and humiliated and just go home, especially after one term. Jimmy Carter, anybody? Jimmy Carter? No, he wasn't stumping for candidates out there. Nobody wanted him around. The last one-term president we had, George Herbert Walker Bush, same for him. He just went up to Kenny Bunkport and felt sorry for himself, never really to be seen from or heard from again. And here's something wild. George H.W. Bush in 1993, last day in office was 69. Look at that. Donald Trump, 74 years old, 5 years older, and about 5,000 times more active, going out there and campaigning like crazy for candidates. That is something else. Nobody else does it. Nobody else like him. Nobody else ever will be like him. So what are we stuck with now, of course? Yeah, him. And what's he up to? something that you might call blaxploitation. That was a phase of unfortunate movies, some might say, from the 1970s. And I think Joe Biden knows something about this, going up to Buffalo yesterday and cynically using that horrible event to achieve greater political power and to try to diminish his opposition. Really ugly stuff, pretending that America is infused with white supremacy. It's not true. It's a lie. But he's doing it to enhance his own power, or what he perceives as power. I don't think this is going to work, but he certainly is trying relentlessly.
Into falsely believing that they will be replaced, that's the word, replaced, by the other, by people who don't look like them, and who are therefore in a perverse ideology that they possess and being fed lesser beings. I and all of you reject the lie. I call on all Americans to reject the lie. And I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit.
Well, that would be you, Joe Biden, pushing the lie that America is full of white supremacists. And actually, if you listen carefully and if you've been watching, Democrats seem a little bit disturbed and a little bit excited about what people look like and the future of America and what people will look like. Conservatives, no, we care about ideas. They're fixated on the outside and what the demographics will be.
In a few years, we're going to be a majority brown country. White people will not be the majority in the country anymore.
This will be the first generation ever in American history in which whites will be a minority of the generation at some point.
As of 2007, every year, babies being born in this country, whites now are the minority.
In 2044, everyone is going to be a minority.
As the demographics change, as white people become the minority in the country, which is coming.
Demographics is destiny. Demographics is destiny.
Demographics is destiny, right? The country is changing.
I've been saying it here. Other people have been saying it here for years now, even before Donald Trump. The demographics is destiny.
The white population is declining for the first time in history in America, while the number of multiracial Americans have more than doubled.
So we live in a country where the demographics are changing. It's becoming less white.
Correct.
Okay.
You'll be announcing that we're calling the 38 electoral votes of Texas for the Democratic nominee for president. It's changing. It's going to become a purple state and then a blue state because of the demographics, because of the population growth.
So they really care what people look like, right? The ethnicity, the skin color. Are they excited about that? Are they disturbed by it? I think a little bit of both. We don't care. Conservatives don't care. This does not trouble me. I think it excites them because they'll vote a certain way. Is that their plan? I don't care, and neither do you. This was one of the greatest moments of the 2020 convention, possibly any convention, when President Trump brought in all of those folks from all over the world becoming American citizens. We love it. And you know why? Because they pledge allegiance to our American values. It's all in the oath. And you know what? They have to take it a step further. I mentioned this earlier. They have to promise to take up arms for this country if called upon. Now, that's something. Welcome to America. As long as you do it legally and you take the oath, absolutely. We're not disturbed by this. But he and the left falsely say, oh, we don't want people. So cynical, so unnecessary. Oh, and how about this? Talk about exploitation of a tragedy. Look at what this guy's going to do. This is Donnie Deutsch, a fixture over on MSNBC.
We get caught up in this, make sure, almost guilt them, guilt the Republican. I can't wait to go to a dinner party this weekend and go, hey, guys, you okay with this whole replacement theory thing?
You're going to go to a dinner party. I'm sure you know more Republicans than Miles than I do at this point.
I do, and you say to them, they go, well, it's not their... No, that is the party. That's what you're voting for. You don't get to pick and choose. You don't get to say, well, I like their fiscal responsibility. No. You see the 10 people that got killed in Buffalo? You own that, okay? That's the way you got to talk to people.
the eagerness to exploit and to lie and to use this for political gain, their own political gain. This is the way you have to talk to people. You know what? That shooter, that deranged shooter, had to go to the depths of the internet during COVID to find out, to discover the hateful rhetoric that drove him to do what he did. The Waukesha guy, all he had to do was turn on your network, MSNBC, and be fired up about systemic racism and police killing men of color. The over-dramatization, the hype, the distortion. You guys, that's on you, Deutsch and your friends. How about Colorado? Nobody ever talks about Colorado. Do you remember this? It was late in 2021 at the King's Supermarket near Boulder. The suspect, born in Syria, by the way, came to America and had problems with a lot of people, apparently Jewish people, and he killed 10 people, 10 individuals. They all happened to be white, and nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to care. Joe Biden didn't visit. Joe Biden didn't have an angry speech about what could have motivated this individual. He just let it go. And so did the mainstream media. So did our culture. Joe Biden came to New York to deliver that horrible speech. He should come back to deliver another one about these folks who were shot in New York. We lost 10 people in Buffalo. That's terrible. How about 15 people in New York City this past weekend because of liberal, crazy crime policies that have brought us this chaos? Chicago, how many people were shot this past weekend? 27 people. 27 people. But no, that's not Joe's style. Again, it's all about his profit, his power, his gain, and defying the promise he made to all of us.
Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation.
Wouldn't it be great if it wasn't just me and a handful of other people out there, but an entire media culture connecting the dots and calling this guy out for betraying all of us, not living up to his promises? But here's what we got. The media just concerned with what happened 8 seconds ago and what might happen 8 seconds from now, and getting their name out there and turning whatever silly article they wrote into a book and then hopefully into a Netflix series. They are all out for themselves. History, however, history will be able to connect the dots. They'll have the time and they'll have the resources. They'll be able to look at all this stuff. They'll be able to look at Colorado and Waukesha and say, why did Joe go to Buffalo and not to those places? History will be the judge. Stay with us. Joe Biden, when it comes to Twitter, has very few followers that are real and YouTube views that are pathetically low. Social media companies, though, have been trying to cover this up. We'll be right back.